Scandals always blow up on the internet, and this specific one might blow your mind. This is the story of Meghan Hall, a female police officer from a small U.S. police station in Tennessee who allegedly slept with 6 male officers from the same department. Who is Meghan Hall, and why was she accused of having affairs with 6 of her fellow co-workers? Let's dive into the story and see what happened.
Toxic workplace behind closed doors, and how sexual misconduct spiraled out of control.
All of social media was baffled when the news of a female police officer from a small police station in La Vergne, Tennessee, USA, came to the forefront. She was accused of having an affair with her co-worker. Not 1 or 2, but 6 co-workers. How did the news come out? Who ratted her out? Hall's deed was all over the internet, and she literally became a small celebrity overnight. However, not for good reasons. Meghan, who had always wanted to become an actress from her childhood, unfortunately ended up being a police officer, and that's how her world started to fall apart. Meghan met Jedediah Hall and fell in love with him. He was the son of a local pastor. The two got married in the year 2018. As her acting career was a long-lost dream, she decided to join the La Vergne Police Department in Tennessee, and her husband, Jed, became a park ranger. Both of them seemed to be having a good time and were a perfect couple that everyone envied. There were many pictures of them sharing smiles and being deeply in love with one another. But remember how the saying goes, appearances are deceptive. However, Meghan later revealed that she and her husband, Jed, were having some serious issues in their marriage. These marital issues were exactly what paved the way for the events that followed. As Meghan was not satisfied with her marriage, she decided to do things the way she liked and have some fun on the way. However, her road to fun led her to get involved in some seriously questionable acts. Meghan and her co-workers engaged in some spicy sessions within the confines of the police department, and these included patrol officers Juan Lugo Perez, Louis Powell, Detective Seneca Shields, and Sergeant Henry T. McGowan, who were all fired from their positions along with Meghan. However, there were more officers involved, which included Patrick Magliacco, Larry Holliday, and Gavin Showborough, who got suspended after the investigation. It didn't take much time for the whole world to know about the ordeal. Not only was Meghan accused of wild sexual misconduct, but also having steamy romps with the 6 male officers, which included illicit on-duty liaison. On December 122, 2022, the police department received a shocking complaint. Thanks to a whistleblower, the mayor Jason Cole had found out that there were some serious things going on in his town's police department. An unknown person had ratted Meghan out and her sexcapades with her fellow officers, and these acts happened not only at hotels, motels, and boat parties, but also while on duty. These officers who were supposed to be serving the society and their nation. The head of human resources of the La Vergne Police Department, Andrew Patton, investigated into this scandal, who revealed some shocking detail. Meghan and her husband were on the verge of filing for a divorce and were on the way to solving their problems before Meghan's scandalous activities came to everybody's notice. Meghan had tricked the officers into thinking that she was in an open relationship with Jed, which was totally a big fat lie. Officer McGowan, who is seemingly the whistleblower to the mayor, had a meeting with Hall and Jed when she had joined the police force initially. Things got out of hand while at McGowan's house. Meghan and the officer's wife stripped off their clothes while they played strip on Uno. Paul was allegedly trying to get Jed to go with the flow, however. Jed was really upset with all the things that were unfolding. He did not want himself to be persuaded, but despite his feelings, Meghan and McGowan reportedly made out. The officer even sent pictures of his genitals to Meghan. McGowan, being the whistleblower, denied having any affairs with Meghan despite all the evidence and was fired for lying during the investigation. Patrick Magliacco, another one of the officers, admitted that he had been with Hall on various occasions. He also revealed that his wife Amy and Meghan made out after learning that Meghan and her husband had an open marriage. According to his testimony, he and his wife Amy had been in an open relationship with Meghan since the spring of 2022. There was a time when Jedediah had walked in on Meghan and Amy making out. They even tried to get Jed into a wife-swapping session. Jedediah, disgusted at what he had seen, departed the room and was quite uncomfortable with the whole situation, because how could a sane married man be into something like this? However, this is just the beginning. The wildest part of the whole ordeal took place on Memorial Day when all the officers in the department were invited to a Girls Gone Wild hot tub party, which was hosted by an officer called Stats on a boat that he owned. Some officers even came with their whole family, which even included their underage children. According to another officer named Durham, in an isolated incident, Magliocco was forcing vodka down Hall's throat, and then suddenly Halls took her top off, and seeing this, stay-ats jumped at Hall and stopped her from drinking and covered her up in order to protect Hall. Both stay-ats and Durham never had any illicit relationship with Halls, or so they claimed. Hall even fell down a flight of stairs at the party before having intercourse with Magliocco. According to Magliocco, Hall was prone to drinking, claiming that she once had even driven home after being drunk at his house party. Magliocco claimed that Hall was prone to self-harm and that she shouldn't be left alone. Hall even pointed an empty gun to her head and pulled the trigger so that she could hear what it sounded like. Hall was quite open about the relationship she had with the K-9 officer Larry Holliday in the first interview. However, she claimed that her steamy sessions with Holliday happened a long time ago. Holliday claimed that he had once invited Hall and other officers to his home to watch the football game. There was some serious drinking involved, and talks broke out about having a threesome between Holliday, Hall, and Holliday's ex-girlfriend. However, he claimed that nothing happened at the party. However, he later came clean about his sexual encounters with Hall, often booking hotel rooms for their liaison. Though she denied many of the allegations initially, she later confessed that she had often sent nude images of her to many officers on duty, including McGowan, to whom she sent her feet pictures. Megan, on the other hand, broke her silence on the issue after being fired due to the scandal that had come to the notice of the officials. Hall said that she was terrorized into having intercourse with her superiors, who sexually harassed her frequently. She revealed that she felt sexually groomed. She filed a lawsuit where she named some high-profile police officers from the Laverne Police Department and accused them of having taken advantage of her troubled marriage. Her 51-page lawsuit stressed that what happened with her is not rape. Instead, it was a situation where she had to give in from the pressure. Hall's lawyer, Wesley Clark, said that Megan wasn't looked at like a rookie cop to be trained and promoted, but like a piece of meat to be sexualized and exploited. Hall said, "I know what most people are saying. You know, you could have said no, I get it. But my response to them is I did say no, and he wouldn't take no for an answer." Hall was not in a good mental state and was vulnerable, and the officers took advantage of her situation and used it for their personal gain and satisfying their sexual need. Hall later stated, "I got stupid, I got desperate, and guys are guys and they'll stick their thing in anything." The most shocking part of this whole ordeal is that Hall's husband said that he would stay with his infidel wife even though he knows what wrong she had committed. What do you think of this? Was dismissing all the officers involved an appropriate punishment? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that bell icon, subscribe to our channel. We will be back with more updates.
On July 20th, 2022, an auditor from the Clear Lake Community Watch, who will be referred to as Mr. Clear Lake, was driving past Deputy C. Vega of the Harris County Sheriff's Office as the deputy was conducting a traffic stop in Seabrook, Texas. Mr. Clear Lake rolled down his window and yelled an anti-police sentiment, including profanity, at Deputy Vega as he drove by. In response to this incident, Deputy Vega abandoned the ongoing traffic stop, got back onto his vehicle, made a U-turn, and began to follow Mr. Clear Lake. Mr. Clear Lake, acting responsibly, properly signaled and made a right turn, prompting Deputy Vega to activate his lights in an attempt to pull him over. In compliance with the signal, Mr. Clear Lake immediately pulled into a nearby gas station and brought his vehicle to a stop.
Why do you pull me over?
I'll tell you that if you roll it down.
Why can't you tell me now?
Because the reason I pulled you over is you were yelling stuff from your car.
So what?
Huh?
So what? That's why you pull me over, because I'm
Because
yelling?
I don't know if you're in need of help or anything.
Oh, I don't need help.
So,
Thank you.
Okay, let me see your driver's license real quick.
I don't need help.
Deputy Vega asserted that he stopped Mr. Clearlake's vehicle due to Mr. Clearlake's yelling from the window. Nevertheless, Deputy Vega clarified that his primary concern was for Mr. Clearlake's well-being, rather than taking offense at the content of his speech. It's worth noting that the First Amendment prohibits government officials from engaging in retaliatory measures against individuals for their protected expression. In this situation, it is undeniably evident that Mr. Clearlake was involved in protected activity, as protected by the Supreme Court's long-standing recognition of profanity as protected speech under the First Amendment. Deputy Vega himself acknowledged that he initiated the traffic stop because of Mr. Clearlake's yelling from the window. However, it remains uncertain whether a court would conclude that undergoing a traffic stop resulting in a warning without any citation or arrest would be considered an injury that could deter an individual of ordinary resilience from continuing to engage in the same expressive activity. In the 2012 case of Simmons v. City of Mahmoud, it was stated that not all instances of police detention would deter an individual of ordinary resilience from exercising their protected rights.
You can just crack your window if that's what you want to do.
It's already cracked.
I can't see that.
Well,
This thing.
it doesn't matter. Here. I don't wish to answer questions.
You have to let me know if there's a weapon in the car. Did you not take the class?
I did.
Did they tell you have to tell them?
When you demand identification, I have to display this. That's what they told me in the class. That's what the law
If
says.
the officer wants to take the
And
weapon,
actually, if I don't display, there's really not much you can do because there is no penalty attached to that. I have to carry this if I'm carrying this.
are you carrying?
I don't answer questions.
Okay, so if you have a weapon in the car, then what?
Consequently, there exists the possibility that a court might find Mr. Clearlake unable to pursue a First Amendment retaliation claim, despite Deputy Vega's evident retaliatory intent when initiating the traffic stop. However, the likelihood is much higher that Mr. Clearlake could succeed in a claim asserting Deputy Vega's violation of his Fourth Amendment rights by initiating the traffic stop without reasonable suspension or probable cause. Mr. Clearlake, who had a holstered firearm on his right hip, presented both his driver's license and his license to carry as requested by Deputy Vega. However, when asked by Deputy Vega about the presence of a handgun in the car, Mr. Clearlake declined to answer. As per Section 46.02 of the Texas Penal Code, it is considered an offense if a person intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly carries a handgun in a motor vehicle in plain view, except if the person is 21 years of age or older or possesses a valid handgun carry license and the handgun is properly holstered.
What is your name? Your name? Sheriff? That's your name? Sheriff?
Right above it, right there. You see it?
I'm not familiar with the English alphabet, sir.
Be on the ticket.
Okay, can I have an incident number, please? Oh, a ticket, okay.
When Deputy Vega asked for identification, Mr. Clearlake adhered to the statute's requirements, and it was not necessary for him to respond to any further inquiries from Deputy Vega concerning the potential presence of a handgun in the vehicle. Policy 302 of the Harris County Sheriff's Department Handbook establishes guidelines for what is considered professional conduct among deputies and other HCSO employees. This policy imposes an obligation on them to provide official identification when required. Upon Deputy Vega's notification that the traffic stop had concluded, he directed Mr. Clearlake to remain inside his vehicle. Although Mr. Clearlake opened the door, he showed no signs of attempting to exit. As a response to this action, Deputy Vega drew his weapon.
Did I exit the vehicle?
I'm
Did I
giving you a
exit
heads
the
up.
vehicle?
Give you a heads up.
Did I exit the vehicle? Hey, can I? You do have a dashcam, right? Very good. You can't just pull me over because I said the police. I hope you realize that, stupid. I'm sorry?
Do you have insurance on the vehicle?
Yeah,
Can you show it to me, please? It doesn't come back.
of course it comes back.
Not on my system, it doesn't. Also, it's not typical behavior.
According to the policy, deputies can ready their weapons when approaching potentially dangerous situations, but displaying or pointing firearms in a threatening manner is only permitted when objectively reasonable. Deputy Vega's actions removing the firearm when Mr. Clearlake opened the vehicle door might be justified due to potential concerns.
Did you read my address on the driver
It
license?
didn't have an apartment number on your driver's
Of course it does.
Let me see. Can you verify?
You've already seen it. I've already complied with that part.
I know. Okay, I'll be right back. And I say that I've never met anybody quite like you that would yell at an officer doing their job. But
So,
you have a great
let
day.
me
There's no
understand.
warning, no fines, no penalties.
May I ask you a question?
This question's on there. There's the address.
Yeah,
There's
no, I
the,
have a
there's
question.
an incident
Can you
number
get your
on the thing right
supervisor here, please?
No,
Is the stop over?
the stop is over. You may leave.
All right.
We don't exit until I get out. Well, I mean,
Well, you said the stop is over, right?
There is no indication that Mr. Clearlake had received any materials from the public records request. Additionally, he has expressed his intention to file a complaint and a lawsuit.
For what? Failed to signal with turn indicator within 100 feet. Threw the weapon on me. He drew the gun.
In conclusion, Deputy Vega's actions are heavily criticized, earning him an F grade for retaliating against Mr. Clearlake, who is exercising his First Amendment rights. The initiation of a traffic stop without reasonable suspicion and unnecessary brandishing of his firearm are the specific reasons for this criticism. Now, moving to the next one. On February 8, 2023, a fire broke out in the quadplex apartment of college student Taylor Brown, situated in Normal, Illinois. Following the incident, both fire officials and police officers from the Normal Police Department arrived at the scene. At the request of the officers, Ms. Brown agreed to be taken to Normal Police Station for questioning. However, after waiting for more than 40 minutes without being interviewed, Ms. Brown asked to be taken back home. The subsequent interaction between Ms. Brown and the officers was recorded by an unknown officer's body camera.
Who are you on your phone with? So we're gonna have to seize your phone, so go ahead and hang up.
Seize my phone for what?
Go ahead and hang up.
Why?
Go ahead and hang up.
They want to seize my phone, but I'm not under arrest for it.
You're not under arrest, but your phone's gonna be seized.
No.
You're gonna hang up the phone.
I seize my phone, but
So-
I'm not in custody.
listen,
There's three of them all around me.
so listen.
FaceTime you for a second.
You listen for a second. So the fire's gonna be under investigation,
That's fine.
okay? And we're gonna seize your phone
Why?
because the fire's under investigation.
I need to know what my.
So you can hand me the phone, or I can take the phone.
But I need to know what my phone's being. They're not telling me a reason why my phone's.
I just did.
But you said it's under investigation, which I.
So listen to me. The fire.
That's her phone.
So the fire's gonna be under investigation, and your phone's gonna be seized.
The officers informed Ms. Brown that her phone was being seized due to the ongoing investigation of the fire in her apartment. Typically, in compliance with the Fourth Amendment's protection against unreasonable seizures, the government is required to obtain a warrant based on probable cause before legally seizing an individual's personal property, including their cell phone. In this particular situation, it remains unclear what evidence the officers had, if any, to suggest that Ms. Brown's phone contained pertinent information regarding the fire. However, according to a lawsuit filed by Ms. Brown regarding this incident, the officers attempted to secure a search warrant for her phone after its seizure, but the warrant was not approved by the state's attorney.
Hang up the phone and they're going to take the phone because at this point I'm being threatened.
It's not a threat. I've asked you several times, and you're just going to go back and forth with me.
A reason as to why my phone is being taken.
So the fire is going to be under investigation by the fire department. So stop. Don't interrupt me. So don't interrupt me. The fire is going to be under investigation.
Don't ever tell me not to interrupt you, and I've been calm.
So the phone's going to be seized. So in a second, I'm going to take it.
I'm asking you. I'm
So if
asking
you-
you a reason.
so
I'm
if-
not being rebuttal. I'm asking you a reason.
So if you would like to talk to the detective, you can. Do you wish to talk to him?
Yeah, but
Do you want to give an interview?
no, I wanted to ask him why my phone's being seized because she said she could take me home, but without my phone, that doesn't make sense.
After law enforcement officers have lawfully obtained a cell phone, the concern of the arrestee potentially deleting incriminating data from the phone is eliminated. However, it is crucial to note that even under these circumstances, the officers are still not permitted to search the contents of the phone without obtaining a warrant, unless a court has explicitly authorized such a search. The officers made an effort to seize Miss Brown's phone, and when she resisted by pulling away, they responded by forcing her to the ground in an attempt to take the phone from her possession. Using physical force against an individual who poses no verbal or physical threat in an attempt to seize property that is lawfully in their possession would constitute a violation of their constitutional rights. However, if the individual is found to be resisting, officers may be allowed to use reasonable force based on specific circumstances. At the time of the officer's attempt to seize Miss Brown's phone, she was not under arrest, so any potential charges would likely fall under the obstruction subsection.
Miss, are you going to talk to the detective?
As a matter of fact, are you recording this?
Are you going to talk to the detective and provide an interview? Yes or no?
Is that with or without the phone?
Without the phone. The phone's being seized. Are you talking to the detective or no?
Is the phone being
I don't know. That's not my question.
I need an answer to that before I get
So the question is, are you going to provide an interview?
No.
No? Okay. Go ahead and hand me the phone.
I have to know if my phone is
Nope.
being seized.
Go ahead and hand me the phone. Do not kick. Okay, push your legs out. Stop. Relax. Relax.
Mom, I'm not letting go. I promise.
Relax.
Mom, I'm not letting
Relax.
go. I promise.
We just want your phone. That's it.
We just want your phone.
They try to give me no protection.
Assuming that the officers lack the reasonable suspicion required to seize Miss Brown's cell phone without a warrant, it's also probable that a court would conclude she could not be convicted of resisting an unauthorized act by a police officer. Once Miss Brown was placed in handcuffs and helped to stand up, the officers informed her that they would be charging her with resisting an aggravated battery of a police officer. The Appellate Court of Illinois utilized a similar statute that allowed the use of force to prevent unlawful entries into one's dwelling, resulting in the defendant's battery conviction being overturned. The court found that the defendant's actions were based on a reasonable belief that her conduct was necessary to terminate the officer's unlawful entry into her dwelling, and her limited use of force was deemed justified. Applying a similar logic in Miss Brown's case, where she may argue that she used force to protect her personal property, it's conceivable that she could potentially be acquitted of any battery charges brought against her. After her arrest, Miss Brown was taken to McLean County Jail and was subsequently released at approximately 1 p.m. the following day. Interestingly, she was not charged with resisting, battery, or any other offense related to the altercation at the police station or the fire incident at her apartment. The officers returned Miss Brown's phone to her around 3:30 p.m., several hours after her release on February 23, 2023. In response to the incident, Miss Brown filed a federal lawsuit against the unidentified normal officers involved, alleging false arrest, excessive force, failure to intervene, and battery. As of now, the lawsuit's still awaiting resolution. In summary, the normal Illinois officers received a failing grade, as it is highly probable that they seized Miss Brown's phone without the necessary probable cause and also used unnecessary force when she refused to allow them to take her phone without a warrant. Additionally, the arrest of Miss Brown resulted in charges that were eventually found to be baseless. Now let's move to the next and last case of today's video. On February 9, 2023, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine conducted a press conference at an elementary school in East Palestine, Ohio, to provide updates regarding the derailment of a train carrying toxic chemicals. During this time, News Nation correspondent Evan Lambert was in the back of the gymnasium, filming a pre-scheduled live update while Governor DeWine was speaking at the front. Two members of the Ohio State Highway Patrol and the Ohio National Guard's Major General John Harris Jr. approached Mr. Lambert and requested him to halt the broadcast, citing his alleged loudness. The ensuing interaction was captured by the body camera of one of the Highway Patrol troopers, although there was no available audio recording. Despite the absence of sound recording during the initial part of the interaction, the footage reveals an argument between Mr. Lambert and Major General Harris. Subsequently, Major General Harris is seen pushing Mr. Lambert. Following the incident, Mr. Lambert alleges that Major General Harris assaulted him, while Major General Harris claims he felt threatened. However, it is essential to acknowledge that this explanation seems to contradict the body camera footage, which shows Major General Harris as the instigator of the altercation and does not display any physically aggressive behavior from Mr. Lambert. Sheriff Brian McLaughlin of the Columbiana County Sheriff's Office instructs Mr. Lambert to depart from the area. In response, Mr. Lambert clarifies that he is attempting to listen to the press briefing and carry out his job, emphasizing that his actions are protected by the First Amendment.
Go. Talk outside. Come out the doors. Out the doors.
By other media right here. I'm gonna listen.
I don't care. You're gonna walk out the door.
I'm gonna listen.
You're gonna walk
Do
out
not
the door.
touch me.
Come on out, sir. You're gonna walk out the door, or you're going to jail.
Do not touch me.
Sir, can we talk outside, please?
I'm trying to
Can we talk
listen.
outside, please?
And he escalated with me. I am doing my job. This is covered by the First Amendment.
The First Amendment of the United States Constitution explicitly prohibits Congress from creating any laws that would restrict the freedom of the press. Courts have interpreted this clause to safeguard not only the press's right to publish news, but also their right to gather and acquire newsworthy information. In this particular case, the court made a definitive differentiation between the circumstances of that case and the current situation.
Oh, sir.
Sir, this is bad. Stop.
I am on the ground. What are you trying to do? Okay,
Stop resisting.
You are under arrest.
Get this. This is so bad.
Lay on your back. Lay flat, please.
You guys, he's a national correspondent. You cannot do this.
I'm a reporter with News Nation. It's all being recorded right now.
I hope it is. This is
Excessive force,
horrible.
because you can't talk to people about doing their jobs.
Oh my God, I cannot believe this.
This is what it's like to be a black reporter in
Evan, I'm so
2023.
sorry. Evan, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sia.
Pull over, sir.
The court emphasized that the mayor did not withhold access to information that was commonly available to other media representatives or prevent the reporter from participating in press conferences. In this scenario, Mr. Lambert's reporting did not seem to cause any disruption, as Governor DeWine mentioned that he was unaware of the incident, only hearing about the disagreement that occurred after the troopers and Major General Harris approached Mr. Lambert.
You got me record all that. I did, sir. You want me to check off? No, you can keep recording. Okay. We just need to make sure that no one else comes in here that's not authorized.
Rudeness or disrespect.
Hello.
Anything. We've been waiting for.
In his statement, Governor DeWine acknowledged that reporters possess the full right to report during press briefings. Mr. Lambert could assert a compelling argument that his First Amendment rights were infringed upon by being excluded from the press conference, considering that he was merely performing his job as a reporter.
It's the worst possible time in the world, okay? But there's nothing that we can do about that. He's committed to doing his live show. He's got people talking to him. He doesn't know whether
Upon Mr. Lambert's refusal to leave the press conference, East Palestine Detective Daniel Howder and Columbiana County Chief Deputy Jennifer Tucker notify him of his arrest. Subsequently, when he appears to make a slight attempt to move away from the officers, they take action and force him to the ground before handcuffing him.
comes over and says, I don't want you here. Okay. He still refused. I didn't. So now he's arrested. I didn't witness any of that.
That's his own fault. He's arrested. All he had to do was type up.
I didn't.
And he just kept
all
arguing.
I'm telling you is from the television standpoint.
Later in the episode, the matter of whether the officers possess sufficient probable cause to arrest Mr. Lambert will be addressed. If a court were to determine that the arrest was legally justified, there exists the possibility that Mr. Lambert could face a conviction for resisting arrest, even if he were to be acquitted of the trespassing charge. Despite the charges against Mr. Lambert being dropped, no information has been provided regarding any disciplinary measures against the involved officers, including Major General Harris. It remains unclear whether Mr. Lambert or News Nation intends to pursue legal action against any of the parties involved. On the whole, the numerous officers involved receive criticism, as they are likely to have infringed upon Mr. Lambert's First Amendment rights by unjustly excluding him from a public press conference, arresting him for refusing to relinquish those rights, and employing unnecessary force during his arrest and initial disagreement with Major General Harris.